If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to be notified of new videos. My channel is running a contest. When I get to 250 subscribers, one lucky person will win $100. All you need to do is be subscribed and comment. This contest is being run by this channel and YouTube has nothing to do with this contest. New York, NY, May 9, 1949 have been investigating flying saucer mystery. First tip hinted gigantic hoax to cover up official secret. Believe it may have been planted to hide the real answer. Looks like a terrific story. Can you take over Washington End? Ken W. Purdy, editor, True Magazine. I glanced out at the Potomac, recalling the first saucer story. As a pilot, I'd been skeptical of flying discs. Then reviews had begun to pour in from Air Force and airline pilots. Apparently alarmed, the Air Force had ordered warring parties to pursue the fast-flying saucers. In one mysterious chase, a pilot had been killed, and his loss of life was once unexplained. That had been 17 months ago. Since then, the complete flying saucer riddle had been hidden in the back of a curtain of Air Force secrecy. And now, an undertaking from True Journal on flying saucers. 24 hours later, I used to be in Ken Purdy's office. "I've had guys on this for 2 months," he instructed me. "I may as properly warn you, it is a hard story to crack." "You suppose it is a Russian missile?" I requested him. "Or an Air Force secret?" We've had countless answers. None of them stacks up. But I'm advantageous. One was once intentionally planted when they located we had been checking. He instructed me the complete story of the work that had been carried out through the body of workers of True and of the reviews dispatched in by using able writers. The deeper he delved into the mystery, the more challenging the project got. The greater I learned about flying saucers, the much less I knew. There's one perspective I prefer rechecked," Purdy said. "You've heard of the Mantle case?" I nodded. "Okay, try to get the small print of Mantle's radio document to Godman Tower. Before he used to be killed, he described the issue he was once chasing. We comprehend that much. Project Saucer gave out a hint, however, they've in no way launched the transcript. Here's some other lead. See if you can discover something about a secret picture, taken at Harmon Field, Newfoundland. It was once round July 1947. I'll ship you different thoughts as I get them." Before I left, Purdy wished me hick and instructed me that he would work in the closest concord with me. "But watch out for faux tips," he said. "You'll likely run into some people at the Pentagon who'll speak to you off the record. That handcuffs a writer. Look out they do not lead you into a blind alley. Even the Air Force statements and the Project Saucer record contradict every other." For 6 months, I labored with different investigators to remedy the thriller of the discs. We checked 100 sighting reports, regularly crossing the path of Project Saucer groups and FBI agents. Old files gave fantastic leads. So did Air Force plans for exploring space. Rocket experts, astronomers, Air Force officers, and pilots gave us clues pointing to a startling solution. Many shrewd persons, including scientists, believe that the sources include spies from every other planet. When this first segment used to be ended, we had been confronted with a challenging decision. We had uncovered vital facts. We knew the sources have been real. If it was once handled carefully, we believed the story would be in line with a secret Air Force policy. It was once in the end determined to post-shore alternate conclusions. The Air Force was once knowledgeable of True's intentions. No try used to be made to block publication. In the January 1950 difficulty of True, I pronounced that we had reached the following conclusions. 51. The Earth has been discovered periodically through site visitors from some other planet. 2. This commentary has extended markedly in the previous 2 years. The solely different feasible explanation, I wrote, is that the sources are extremely high-speed, long-range gadgets developed right here on Earth. Such an improvement, which the Air Force has denied, would require a nearly incredible jump in technical growth even for American scientists and designers. Nationwide press and radio remarks observed the look of the article. This publicity was once, needless to say, larger than the Air Force had expected. Within 24 hours the Pentagon was once deluged with telegrams, letters, and long-distance calls. Apparently fearing a panic, the Air Force swiftly referred to that flying saucer reports, even these made by its personal pilots and high-ranking officers, were errors or have been caused via hysteria. 3 But 3 days later, when it used to be undeniable that many Americans flippantly accepted True's disclosures, the Air Force launched a secret challenged saucer file containing this extensive statement. It will by no means be feasible to say with the sure bet that any man or woman did now not see an area ship, an enemy missile or different object. In this equal report, there seems a private evaluation of air intelligence reports. 4 Since the acts of mankind most effortlessly discovered from a distance are bomb explosions, we ought to anticipate some relation to acquiring between the time of the bomb explosions, the time at which the house ships are seen, and the time required for such ships to arrive from and return to home base. It is this précis that carries the reliable suggestion of house visitors' motives. After declaring that such a civilization would of course be some distance in advance of our own, the document adds, 3 Air Force Press Launch 629-49, December 27, 1949. 4 Air Force Project Saucer, December 30, 1949. 6. In a preceding report, which alternately warned and reassured the public, the Air Force mentioned that house tour backyard the photovoltaic machine is nearly a certainty. 5 Since 1949 there has been a consistent expansion in saucer sightings. Most of them have been proper reports, which Air Force denials can't disprove. In January, thriller discs have been said over Kentucky, Indiana, Texas, Pennsylvania, and countless different states. On the Seattle-Anchorage route, an air freighter used to be paced for 5 minutes using a night flying saucer. When the pilots tried to shut-in, the abnormal craft zoomed at great speed. Later, the airline head stated that intelligence officers had quizzed the pilots for hours. From their questions, he said, I ought to inform they had a correct notion of what the sources are. One officer admitted they did, however, he would not say any more. Another ordinary incident came about in Tucson, Arizona, on February 1. Just at dusk, a weird, fiery object raced westward over the city, astonishing heaps in the streets below. The Tucson Daily Citizen ran the story subsequent day with a double banner headline, Flying Saucer over Tucson. B-29 fails to catch object flying saucer. A secret experimental plane. Or possibly a scout craft from Mars. Certainly, the ordinary plane that blazed a smoke path over Tucson at nightfall ultimate nighttime defies logical explanation. It used to be as mystifying to skilled pilots as to groundlings who have to bother in figuring out conventional planes. Cannonballing through the sky, some 30,000 toes aloft, was once a fiery object shooting westward so quick it used to be not possible to achieve any clear influence of its form or size. At what should have been pinnacle pace the object spewed out mild-colored smoke, however nearly immediately over Tucson it seemed to hover for a few seconds. The smoke puffed out an indignant black and then grew to be lighter as the odd missile regarded to achieve speed. 5 Air Force Document M2649, Preliminary Studies on Flying Saucers, April 27, 1949. 7 The radio operator in the Davis-Monthan Air Pressure Base Manipulate Tower contacted First Lieutenant Roy L. Jones, taking off for a cross-country flight in a B-29, and asked him to investigate. Jones revved up his swift aerial tanker and nonetheless the unknown plane gradually pulled away towards California. Dr. Edwin F. Carpenter, head of the University of Arizona branch of astronomy, stated he used to be sure that the object used to be now not a meteor or different natural phenomenon. Swamped switchboards at the Pima County Sheriff's Workplace and Tucson Police Station have been jammed with inquiries. Hundreds noticed the object. Tom Bailey, 1411 E 10th Street, notion it used to be a massive aircraft on fire. A later check confirmed no planes missing. He stated it wavered from left to proper as it exceeded over the mountains. Bailey saw that the craft seemed to gradually perceptibly over Tucson. He stated the smoke curiously got here out in a thin, nearly invisible stream, gaining substance inside a few seconds. This incident had a bizarre sequel the following day. Its value was once not misplaced on the Daily Citizen. It ran some other front-page story, headlined, What do you mean only vapor trail? As although to show itself innocent for tilting thousands of Tucson heads skyward, the U.S. Air Force the day before today afternoon spent hours etching vapor trails via the skies over the city. The demonstration proved to the pleasure of most that the atypical course of darkish smoke blazed throughout the night sky at nightfall Wednesday was once no vapor path and did now not emanate from any conventional airplane. The Wednesday nighttime spectacle was once completely dissimilar. Then, heavy smoke boiled and swirled in a broad, darkish ribbon fanning out at least a mile in width and stretching throughout the sky in a straight line. Since there was no proof as to what brought on the abnormal pre-dark manifestation, and because even professional witnesses have been unable to explain the appearance, the remember stays a problem for fascinating speculation. 8. There is robust proof that this story used to be intentionally stored off the press wires. The Associated Press and different wire offerings in Washington had no report. Requests for small print by way of Frank Edwards, mutual newscaster, and different radio commentators ran into a clean wall. At the Pentagon, I was once informed that the Air Force had no information of the sighting or the vapor trail maneuvers. On February 22, 2 comparable glowing objects had been considered above Boca Chica Naval Air Station at Key West. An airplane dispatched tip to look into was once hopelessly outdistanced. It used to be apparent the matters have been at a remarkable height. Back at the station, radarmen tracked the objects as they hovered for a moment above Key West. They have been discovered to be at least 50 miles above the Earth. After a few seconds, they accelerated at excessive velocity and streaked out of sight. On the following day, Commander Augusto Origo, a Chilean naval officer, mentioned that sources had flown above his Antarctic base. During the brilliant Antarctic night, he said, we noticed flying saucers, one above the other, turning at brilliant speeds. We have pictures to prove what we saw. Early in March, Ken Purdy phoned the modern improvement in the investigation. He had simply obtained a tip predicting a flurry of saucer publicity throughout March. It had come from a necessary supply in Washington. You be aware of what is in all likelihood means, he said. The equal issue we talked about a closing month. But why have been we tipped off in advance? It's one extra piece in the pattern, I said. If the tip's on the level, then they're stepping up the program. Within 3 days, reviews started to pour in from Peru, Cuba, Mexico, Turkey, and different components of the world. Then on March 9, a sparkling metallic disc used to be sighted over Dayton, Ohio. Observers at Vandalia Airport phoned Wright-Patterson Field. Scores of Air Force pilots and groundsmen watched the disc, as combatants raced up in pursuit. The mysterious object streaked vertically skyward, hovered for a while miles above the Earth, and then disappeared. A secret file used to be rushed to the 9th Civil Aeronautics Authority in Washington, then grew to become over to Air Force Intelligence. Soon after this, Dr. Craig Hunter, director of a clinical grant firm, reported a large elliptical saucer flying at a low altitude in Pennsylvania. He described it as metallic, with a slotted outer rim and a rotating ring just inside. p. 13 On pinnacle of this sighting, hundreds of human beings at Farmington, New Mexico, watched a massive formation of discs bypass excessive above the city. Throughout all these reports, the Air Force refused to admit the existence of flying saucers. On March 18, it flatly denied they had been Air Force secret missiles or space exploration devices. 3 days later, a Chicago and Southern airliner crew noticed a fast-flying disc close to Stuttgart, Arkansas. The round craft, blinking a peculiar blue-white light, pulled up in an arc at amazing speed. The two pilots stated they glimpsed lighted ports on the decrease aspect as the saucer zoomed above them. The lights had a gentle fluorescence, not like whatever they had seen. There was once one extraordinary perspective in the Arkansas incident. There used to be no apparent try to muzzle the two pilots, as in formerly airline cases. Instead, a United Press interview was once shortly arranged, for nationwide publication. In this wire story, Captain Jack Adams and First Officer G.W. Anderson made two statements. We firmly accept as true that the flying saucer we noticed over Arkansas used to be a secret experimental kind aircraft, not a vacationer from outer space. We are aware of the Air Force has denied there is something to this flying saucer business. However, we're each skilled pilots and we're now not effortlessly fooled. The day after this story appeared, I used to be discussing it with an airline official in Washington. That's an ordinary thing, he said. The Air Force should have persuaded those pilots or the line president to hush the component up. It appears as if they desired that story broadcast. You imply the complete factor used to be planted. 10. I might not say that, although it may want to have been. Probably they did see something. But they would possibly have been instructed what to say about it. Any thought why? He regarded me sharply. You and Purdy in all likelihood be aware of the answer. At a guess, I'd say it would possibly have been deliberate to offset that Navy commanders report the one on the White Sands sightings. The White Sands case had puzzled many skeptics, due to the fact the Pentagon had cleared the posted report. The author, Commander R.B. McLaughlin, used to be an everyday Navy officer. As a Navy rocket expert, he had been stationed at the White Sands rocket proving ground in New Mexico. In his posted article he described 3 disk sightings at White Sands. One of the disks, a massive elliptical craft, was once tracked by way of scientists with precision devices at 5 miles per second. That's 18,000 miles per hour. It was once located to be flying 56 miles above the Earth. 2 different disks, smaller types, have been watched from 5 remark posts on hills at the proving ground. Circling at a fantastic speed, the 2 disks paced an Army high-altitude rocket that had simply been launched, then speeded up and hastily outclimbed the projectile. Commander McLaughlin's report, giving dates and factual details, used to be cleared by using the Department of Defense. So used to be a later nationwide broadcast. Then the Air Force made its events denial. Why was once McLaughlin, an everyday Navy officer problem to protection screening, accepted to provide out this story? Was it an exceptional slip-up? Or was once it a section of some cautiously thought-out plan? I trust it used to be a section of a tricky application to put together the American humans for a dramatic disclosure. For nearly a year I have watched the behind-the-scenes maneuvers of those who information this program. In the following chapters, I have tried to show the odd traits in our search for the answer, the carefully deceptive tips, the blind alleys we entered, the surprising assistance, the private leads, and the beautiful contradictions. 11. It has been a problematic jigsaw puzzle. Only with the aid of seeing all components of this intricate image can you commence glimpsing the motives for this stubbornly hidden secret. The professional clarification may additionally be imminent. When it is in the end revealed, I believe the problematic preparation, even the vast deceit involved, will be fully justified in the minds of the American humans.